Hey everyone, it's Rebecca Keppel here, and this video that you're watching right now is part of the Pretty Pink Posh video hop this month, and there are prizes to be won. Every stop on the hop will be giving away a $20 gift certificate to Pretty Pink Posh, so be sure to comment down below. This month's September video hop focuses on the September release, which is packed full of holiday goodies, and it is so much fun, so cute. And today for you, I have a one die, two ways type of video. So we'll be using one die set and create two totally different cards. The dies we're going to be used today is the Gingerbread shaker die. So obviously from the name, you know you can create a shaker with this die set, and it's a little gingerbread shaker, and there are accessories to decorate the gingerbread. For this first card though, we're not going to make a shaker. We're going to use the outside frame of the gingerbread, which is a stitched line on the outside, and it cuts out the little gingerbread cookie. And then I like to ink the edges here just to add a little bit of interest. It kind of looks like the edges of an actual cookie that are usually a little bit more toasty or brown compared to the center of that gingerbread cookie. So I like to use Distress Oxide for this and some small shader brushes. Those make it really easy to just get a touch of ink on the edges without getting too much ink towards the center of the cookie. So next I'll take some liquid adhesive, and I've cut out all the other dies that come with the set. There's a little bow tie, and you'll see in the next card I'll actually use it as a hair bow. There are little buttons for the gingerbread cookie, and then of course there is eyes and a mouth, and then some squiggly lines which are frosting that can decorate the rest of the cookie. So I cut the little buttons and bow tie out of red and green, and then everything else out of white, because that is my favorite frosting on a gingerbread cookie, is that white frosting. So again, just adding little bits of liquid adhesive so that there's not too much liquid adhesive squeezing out from the other side, but just enough to add it so it can adhere down to that little cookie. And it is really starting to come together to look like the cutest little gingerbread guy. Next, I'll take the candy cane stencil, and this is a diagonal stencil that has candy cane type lines. Some are thinner and some are thicker. I'm actually using Distress Oxide ink in Kitsch Flamingo for this. I do love pink mixed in with holiday colors, so I thought this would be a perfect way to do that. And you can see how nicely those lines are nice and crisp as long as you go in the direction of those lines as well. Next, I'll grab one of the sentiment stamps from the Christmas Banner Greetings stamp set, and I've placed it on some pink cardstock inside the mini Misty. I'll add some anti-static powder tool on top of the cardstock, and then ink up that stamp with some Versamark ink and pour some white heat embossing powder on top, pour off the excess, and then use my heat tool to melt that embossing powder so that that white really stands out on the pink. Then I'll use the Christmas Banner Greetings dies to cut it out. I did trim down that stencil panel to about 4 by 5 1/4, and I'll mat it on some white cardstock and use some foam squares to pop up the gingerbread cookie. I placed him sort of down towards the bottom of the card so that I had room for that Banner Greetings die on top. I love the combination of traditional colors, a cute little gingerbread cookie, and that fun banner sentiment. For the next card, we'll create a shaker as was originally intended from this shaker die set. So first, I have a slightly darker cardstock of brown, and I'm cutting both the inner shape and the outer shape together. That creates that brown frame that I'll use on the top of the card. Next, I cut out the inner frame out of an A2 piece of white cardstock. I love this Argyle pierced plate, so I decided to use it with the panel that I'm creating my shaker out of. I'll just adhere it to the pierced plate with a little bit of Spellbinders tape and run it through the die cut machine, and it will pierce all those little holes in the Argyle pattern. Next, I'll take some liquid adhesive on the back of that panel, place it everywhere that there's not those little holes, and then place a piece of clear acetate on that. And that will create that shaker window. Next, I'll use some foam lines. These are perfect for creating shakers because they kind of stretch perfectly on an A2 card, except for that little piece right there. I had to make a little corner so that all of those foam strips actually touch one another. That's the way that you keep the shaker goodies inside. So next, I will peel off those adhesive protectors on the back and then pour some gingerbread shaker beads inside. I wish I could sometime remember to film the sound of the shaker beads. I absolutely love them. If you haven't heard them in a shaker, I recommend trying them out. They are so much fun. They just roll back and forth and make so much fun noise. So here's the part where we can use the frame that I cut out originally. I'll add a little bit of liquid adhesive behind it and then tuck it right on the front of that window so that you don't see the cuts of that window. And now we're really getting our gingerbread shaker to come together. Next, it's time to adhere all those little die cuts that I used in the first card to decorate the gingerbread cookie, only this time we're actually adhering those die cuts on the acetate. So they're on the shaker window themselves, except for, like I mentioned, a little hair bow, which I'll place on the frame of the gingerbread. So you can think about using these little die cuts in lots of different ways. I decided to use this little squiggle kind of as a little necklace for our gingerbread gal. And then I decided to use the little squiggles of frosting the same exact way that I did in the first card. So just decorating the arms and legs. I have some buttons cut out. This time I cut them out of pink cardstock to match the little hair bow. And for the sentiment this time, I grabbed a sentiment stamp from the Gingerbread Friends stamp set, which is a whole stamp set with cute little gingerbread critters that you can actually color in with markers or watercolor paints or whatever you like to color with. I'll use the Stitched Borders 4 dies as a little scallop to cut out that sentiment strip and place it right at the bottom of the card. So you can see that that border is actually 4¼ inches wide, and then I just made it pretty thin so that it was just I'll have one at the top and one at the bottom. And again, combining that red with a little bit of pink and white for those gingerbread Christmas colors. Here are the two cards together. I hope you can see that this die set could be used in a couple of different ways, and I think it would also make a fun tag. So if you're thinking about other ways to use it, that's something that I highly recommend and I think I'm going to try in the future. I want to thank you so much for stopping by today. Have a wonderful day.